Hi, I'm Fideli, a senior at Thayer Academy. For my senior project, I'm tackling something that all storytellers struggle with, a dual storyline. A dual storyline is when two stories are being told at once with two different protagonists/heroes. Those heroes have nothing in common, but come together at the end. In my case, I am the hero of the first story, the story of me as a filmmaker, from where I started to where I am now. Filmmaking has always been important to me. Since the 6th grade, when I received an iPad for Christmas, I quickly found iMovie and started making short skits with family and friends. As I got older, I experimented with different styles of film, school projects, GoPro montages, a short story I wrote and directed, a documentary about my trip to Italy, a web series about the 2020 quarantine, to even my summer internship where I worked at a local news station and interviewed small business owners. And in between those projects, I interned with a movie producer and attended summer classes that strengthened my screenwriting and production skills. By tackling this in my senior project, I'll be diving into another medium of storytelling. By being my own teacher and working with my friends along the way. On the other hand, we have the Havliceks, who are putting their love for cooking into a book. We come together when I begin to follow them along on their journey. By applying film to cooking, I can improve my work with others, my interviewing, and editing skills. There may be bumps in the road, but that's filmmaking, and you have to be able to act under pressure and in tough times.
Hey guys, I'm Cass.
And I'm Quinn.
We're twin sisters from Cohasset, and we also go to Thayer Academy.
And at Thayer, we have to do a senior project. So basically the last month of school, me and Cass decided to create a cookbook full of our family recipes. And we also have a food Instagram called Twin Eats.
We started our food account over quarantine out of boredom.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've created probably about 50 recipes and been posting on it daily. We have a bunch of stories with all kinds of things, and then we also have some workout ideas on there too.
So when we were younger, my mom always was the one that would bring brownies or cupcakes or cookies to family gatherings and just family friend cookouts and that type of thing. So me and Cass were two little twin girls. When we were younger, it was kind of hard to keep us entertained, so my mom would really use baking a lot when we were younger because there's so many different
steps for it.
Yeah, different steps and different jobs that we could each have. So my mom would be like, Quinn, this is your job, Cass, this is your job. So it was a really good bonding experience for me, Cass, my mom. And I don't know, we used to just sit by the oven and just watch the cake rise, and then obviously decorating was the most fun part.
Definitely
and
my favorite.
Yeah, we just and we do it with our grandma too. We would just make cakes and make cupcakes, and that's a fun memory with our grandma of just going and being so excited to bake with her. Yeah, so it really, cooking for me started with baking, and then it kind of grew into me just loving to be in the kitchen.
Cooking is so important to me because of how it makes me feel. I love cooking healthy foods, and I also love just the process of cooking and baking especially. It's so much fun to do, and it just really gets me out of my head sometimes. If I'm stressed, I'll just go in the kitchen. I literally look forward to every single meal just because I know I can cook. I think another thing that comes with cooking is just trial and error. You can never get upset if your cupcakes don't rise, if you burn something. It happens, and it really teaches you a life lesson of not giving up. So ever since I was probably about 6 or 7, me and my mom have been baking weekly for different churches and homeless shelters. This has been something that I've absolutely loved. I've literally been doing it since I'm 6 and I'm 18 now. But it's really made me appreciate just the little things, because it makes me so happy that one person will get my cookie or my brownie, something, and that'll be just a nice thing for them that day. And I think for people who are homeless, obviously their lives are so hard, and just bringing the slight bit of joy just makes me so happy. And
So we started the cookbook this week, and so far for progress, we've mainly just been collecting recipes, talking to my mom about just like what our favorite ones were when we were younger, and going through all of our little recipe boxes and going through Twin Eats, going to find our favorite recipes. And so Cass and I kind of split jobs. So her job for the cookbook is going to be baking and cooking, and I'm going to be more of the technical person, so that means typing out all the recipes and taking photos. So I'll be using Google Docs, and we're going to also try to use Shutterfly. So the way that I'm planning on doing it is I'm going to write out the recipe on Google Docs and then try to take a screenshot and use it as a photo in Shutterfly. So far we have like 30-ish recipes typed out that I obviously need to go through and perfect. And then Cass is going to bake them, we're going to take pictures, and then I'm going to put it all together, and we're going to try to make a few copies of the book and then give them to family and friends. So today we're going to be teaching you guys how to make dillies, which is my grandma's recipe, and we always eat them in Chatham. She puts them in like this little dish, and
The wooden dishes.
Yeah, it's like a wooden dish that she always just used to have on the little island. And like we have a really big family, so she would have to make so many.
Yeah, she'd like triple the recipe.
Yeah, she would triple the
just
recipe.
to get through like one day.
Yeah, and like she would just always put these out, and now we kind of make them to remember her because it's just like every time we have them, it just brings us back to Chatham and being like with our whole extended family, and they're honestly just like so delicious. It's like our secret recipe, so you're welcome for giving me the secret, but they're so good.
Okay, and we actually have the original recipe card right down there. And then so I'll run through the ingredients really quickly. Just some oyster crackers. It can literally be any kind, like any oyster crackers you find. Then vegetable oil and a packet of ranch. Might sound weird, but it's really good.
Trust me, it's good.
You gotta trust the process. And then dill, just dried dill, olive oil, and then this is a big box of Cheez-Its, but just like the regular box, so we'll only do a little bit of this box. You basically mix it all together, all the ingredients. You heat up the oil first, but you mix it all together, and then put it in the oven at 375 for like 15 minutes. It gets all toasty and good.
Okay, so to start, basically what we did was we mixed together the oyster crackers and the Cheez-Its, and we just put them in a big bowl. And then in a saucepan, we mixed together a half cup of vegetable oil and a half cup of olive oil, and then we did about 4-ish tablespoons of dill weed. Add a little bit more, I guess. And then a packet of the dry ranch, and then we just put that on the stove to simmer for 3 to 4 minutes, I guess. And then we're gonna pour it on these crackers here, and then we're gonna put them in the oven for like 15 minutes at 375, and then they'll be perfect. Okay, so this is the finished product. It's just, they're like crispy, crunchy, they're a little toasted, which is how we like them. You can toast them kind of as much as you want, so sometimes we do them more burned, sometimes you don't even really have to cook them. We just think that they're better when they're crispy. So yeah, these are them.
Okay. Hi. So, whoa. This is taken the morning after making the dillies, and I just thought I should whip out my camera real quick and just talk about my time there with them and like reflect on what we did. And basically, from where I am now in this film process, we've done a few interviews and we made the dillies. So I felt that the interview process went great. The Havliceks I felt were really prepared because what I sent them, I sent them a few questions prior to when the day I came so they could prepare, and I felt like they did a great job, which made the whole project so much smoother, and it made the editing easier for me. I didn't have to edit out a lot of like stumbles in their words. They looked very professional. It felt very professional. It was awesome. We had so much fun doing it, and the dillies was actually so fun. The food was so good, and they did an awesome job like just explaining the process of the food. So I'm really excited to see how the rest of my project goes out and to see their final project as well. I feel like my documentary goes hand in hand really well with them. I'm learning how to become a better group worker because normally I am a very type A person. I like to take control, and while working with the group, we run on each other's schedules. We have to listen to each other's ideas. Whatever food they want to make, I'm there to film, and if we mess up, then we can't start over sometimes. We just have to go with the flow, and I'm really excited to go back. Not really sure what we're going to do next. I'll text Quinn and see what she wants to do, but I really want to get on camera and cook. So that is something I really want to do, and I know for that I'll have to bring my tripod and my light and set all that up and just stand there and be a cook. So I'm really excited. I think this project is going great, and I'm learning a lot and having a lot of fun.
Ever since I was 12 years old, me and my mom have been baking for our local church who deliver to Father Bill's. So one time when we were just volunteering at the church, we noticed that they had no baked goods. So me and my mom, we love baking. We do it almost every day. So we figured, why don't we just offer and see if they need someone to bake for the homeless shelter. So that's kind of how it started, and we've been doing it ever since I was 12, and I'm 18 now, so definitely a long time. And so during the week, me and my mom will come together and find a recipe, we'll bake it together, probably like 2 to 4 batches, and we'll go deliver it. So this has really taught me a lot, just kind of how like a small little thing like a baked good can really, it might not seem like a lot, but it can definitely make someone's day, and if that's the one good thing in their day, then it makes me really happy.
So today I'm going to be helping Cass bake, and we're going to be making molasses cookies, and I love molasses cookies. They're honestly like so easy to make for the shelter. Cass makes them probably like once a month because they're just easy to make in big batches and they taste so good.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be making today.
Cookies are definitely my go-to just because they're single serve, they're not messy, you can make a lot of them in not a huge amount of time, and when I don't have a lot of time, that's like my go-to.
Okay, so here are all the ingredients that we have so far, and I would say the most important ones, definitely the whole nutmeg and the ground ginger, and then also obviously molasses because it's molasses cookies.
All right. So I'm getting on camera, and I'm not dressed on camera whatsoever, but it's fine. And I'm helping Quinn make the cookies today. I am normally not a cook whatsoever. I don't like making food, but after doing this project and the past few weeks, I've actually learned the process of making food and how it shouldn't just be a job, it can actually be enjoyable. So that's why I'm here with Quinn. I'm going to be following her along and making the cookies.
Okay, so today we're going to be doubling the recipe. So normally it would be 2 cups of all-purpose flour, but instead of 2 cups, we're going to do 4 cups. Okay, now we're doing the 4th cup, and the little trick I learned was to take your knife and you kind of like chop it, and then take the flat side of the knife, and you can always get a flat cup. So Ellen is going to do 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Perf. 1, 2. Good job, Ellen.
So now we're putting in 4 teaspoons of ground ginger. If we weren't doubling the recipe, we would only be doing 2. And since ginger is very strong, you want to make sure that you use Quinn's little trick she taught and you get the exact amount.
Okay, and then we're gonna use just cinnamon. This is from Trader Joe's, but you can use any cinnamon. And then it's supposed to be 1.5 teaspoons, but we're doing 3. Okay, so we have our little microplane and our cloves, and this is probably going to be a lengthy process, but we just have to ground these up to about 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, so now we're going to ground the nutmeg, and this is like about 1 teaspoon as well. Very messy. Ellen is going to mix. Just mix for like 30 seconds until all the little spices are combined.
Alright, so Quinn's doing the camera, and I'm here with the room temperature butter and 2 egg yolks. So to start this mixture, we're going to pour both those things into the green bowl.
We're going to put in brown sugar into the butter mixture, but so now that you have that, we're gonna take our little handheld mixer and we're just gonna combine these two.
All right, and then you mix until there are no more chunks and it is all smooth.
Like basically 3/4 cup of molasses.
Remember, like the molasses tank that like burst? Like in the 1800s
The oil.
in Boston. No, like you learned about it in 3rd grade history. I swear. No way.
I feel like that was like a myth.
That
had to have been a myth.
I swear that was
to scare us.
I'm gonna Google that right now. Great Molasses Flood on Wikipedia. Occurred on January 15, 1919 in the North End. A large shore tank filled with 2.3 million gallons of molasses burst, and the dissolved wave molasses rushed from the streets at 35 miles an hour.
But we're gonna do 4 teaspoons of vanilla.
It should look like this when you're done.
Wow. Okay, so I've just lined a pan with tin foil and I just sprayed it with Pam. And now I'm gonna take one of these small little ice cream scoops that I always use for cookies. And I'm taking a single scoop, putting it in my freshly washed hands. Make sure your hands are clean. And then you dip it in this bowl of sugar. And then you just roll it around. And then make sure it's in a good circle. And then just placing it on the pan. And then when they bake, they'll have really good, like a sugar crust. Okay, so now that I've just finished making the first tray, we're just gonna put in the oven. Okay, so here's the final product of our molasses cookies. They're obviously coated with sugar and they smell so good. And so we're just gonna put them in some bagged lunches and give them to St. Joseph's, and then they'll bring them to Father Bill's.